Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to the She Did It Anyway podcast. If you know me, you know that there is no way I was not going to have our next guest on this podcast. I am so excited to introduce Jessica Derose. This podcast episode was such a fun one to record. We talked about all things organic marketing, course creation, the development of business. I mean, all the things. And it really just felt like two girlfriends hanging out. I'm excited for you to listen to this episode. And a little bit about Jess. She is a former celebrity personal trainer and elementary school teacher. She turned her cute side hustle into a multi-million-dollar business in 18 months. I've shared before that I went through her course, Empower, and that's where Brand Business Accelerator actually came to life. So dive into this episode. You're going to love it. I would love to hear your feedback after, and I'll talk to you soon. Hello, Jess Derose. Welcome to the She Did It Anyway podcast. I am so excited you're here.
Thanks for having me. This is so surreal.
It is so crazy being in Arizona, seeing you, but also having you as a guest. I talk about it all the time. I've actually said it in our second episode where I talked about my story. And I was saying like this pivotal moment was when I got laid off from Yahoo. And I really didn't know where to begin on my like entrepreneurship journey. And I had joined your course, Empower. And at the time, I didn't actually know that I was building a course. I just knew you were so well-versed in the space and you just seemed like very genuine on social. It like felt very organic talking to you. Like it wasn't like you were trying to sell me. And I was like, oh, whatever it is that I'm doing in this course, I'm going to learn something from her, right? Which I thought was really cool reflecting back on that because you do organic marketing and course creation. And so with that, joined Empower, and that's where Brand Business Accelerator came to life, which is really just insane. So before we dive into course creation and organic marketing and like the good, the bad, and the ugly, if people who, I don't know who wouldn't, but if people don't know who you are, who are you? How did you start? Like, tell us all the things about.
Okay,
Jessica
but
Derose.
first I have to just edify you. I do, because it's not even about proud as a mentor. I'm just really proud of you. And I'm so grateful to be here. And as a podcast host, I'm just like blown away by what you've done. So I love you. Who am I? Jess Glazer Derose. I'm the CVO, Visionary Officer, and founder of Digital Business Evolution. I'm the host of the Digital Business Evolution podcast. And gosh, if we went back, I mean, I started online in 2012. So I've been around for a long time online relative to people online. And it started really selling ebooks. I was like slinging $79 ebooks and selling fitness programs to friends that graduated college with me and lived in different states. But I was an elementary school teacher. So I worked as an elementary school teacher. I was a personal trainer for celebrities on nights and weekends. And I sort of had this cute side hustle, as I call it. And I was just doing it to fulfill my own needs. Like I was doing bodybuilding competitions. My coach was in Massachusetts. I lived in New Jersey. And I was paying her $79 a month to write my workouts and macros. And that's when I had the light bulb moment of like, well, I could do this. I've been a trainer for over a decade. So in 2012, I just did it for fun. I didn't think anything of it. Did not come from a family of entrepreneurs. It was doctors, lawyers, accountants. And I already felt like a failure being a teacher. And that was my like plan C. That was my fallback plan. And I loved what I did. And it gave me the time and space to do things like be a trainer and, create this cute side hustle. But watched people in the industry, did everything from blogging to paid Facebook groups to, slinging ebooks and all of that. And in 2017, I decided to quit my teaching job. But I had no backup plan. My side hustle was making like $300 a month. I had not replaced my gigantic income that I was making. But I burned the boats, and I can share the story of why, because, I think it's really powerful. But I jumped all in and was able to scale my health and fitness business to basically to $1 million in about a year and a half, and then took that to multiple millions. And then that's when people were like, what are you doing? Like, can you teach me? Why are you on your computer all the time in between clients? And like, why are you on Zoom, 2016, 2017. So I started helping my friends in New York that were trainers, and I was helping them build their businesses. And the first friend I helped did an $80,000 launch. And I was like,
I think I got something.
I think I got something here. And, I used to write curriculum for our district. So I'm very good at making difficult concepts easy to understand. And so I just started plugging that skill set into business and how to build a landing page and sell yourself and all these things. And so here we are today.
That's insane to me, getting from changing roles, but industries completely. right?
But was it? I mean, like the breadcrumbs, right? Like if I look
Sure.
back, because I went to school for
Yes.
physical therapy, my doctorate, I dropped out of that. I went to fashion school after that. I was a teacher, a waitress, a bartender, like all these things, the people, the skills along the way, they were like breadcrumbs that I collected,
Mm.
like tools in my toolbox. And so now, yes, I've never taken a formal marketing class, which is crazy, or like a formal business class, but I've had a mentor since 2014.
Yeah.
So like 10 years of being in mentorship programs, masterminds, courses, just learning through experience. I've made so many mistakes, but they're just lessons.
Yeah.
I've just compiled them. So I don't think it's like that far off.
Yeah. How did you know it was time to go all in?
I was miserable.
You were.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was really unhappy. So I loved my job. I was a phys ed teacher for elementary school in one of the New Jersey housewife towns. Like
Yeah.
it was amazing. And I had a
Yeah.
7-minute commute. Mike and I lived the American dream. We were completely house poor, living
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck. It was wonderful. But it just, I felt like year after year, I was like getting smaller. The walls were caving in. I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Mm.
And so I was doing bodybuilding competitions. I was involved in network marketing. I was going to Tony Robbins. And so I was like very involved in this other world outside of school. And my coworkers hated me. They really did. They were brutal. They used to make fun of me. They were, "What are you doing reading those Tony Robbins books?" And I'd come in with my plastic bag of cold asparagus and 9 o'clock in the morning competing with my gallon jug of water. And I didn't feel like I fit.
Yeah.
And I just knew that like I wanted something different. So I didn't quit because I was, ooh,
Sorry.
I didn't quit because I was brave. I
Mm.
quit because I couldn't breathe. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I was just shriveling up and years were going by and I was getting smaller. And so I quit because of a podcast episode, as crazy as that is.
Which podcast episode?
So I'm 99% sure it was Lewis House because back in 2014, 15, that's who I was listening to. So I'm pretty sure it was Lewis. But the man was interviewing a woman. She was a teacher and she sold jewelry on Etsy. So I also went to fashion school. I had a jewelry line. So I'm like in the dashboard driving to work listening. Like he's talking about me. She wanted to go all in on her jewelry line, but was afraid of like, pension, benefits, this, that, the other. He said, if you gave yourself a year to go all in on jewelry and it didn't work, what would be your worst case scenario? So she said, well, I'd go back to teaching. I might have to go to a different district, but I've been a teacher for a decade. Now I'm 8 years in driving to work with my coffee, like, oh man, me too, right?
Yeah.
So his answer changed everything. He said, oh, how does it feel to wake up every day and live in your worst case scenario? And I was like, wow, this isn't my worst case scenario. It could be so much worse, but like, this is not my best case scenario.
Yeah.
I pulled over on the highway. I texted Mike, my husband. I was bawling, crying on my way to work. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. That was October of 2016. And I walked into my principal's office about 2 weeks later and I resigned. And I was just, I'll figure it out.
We are really fortunate to have very supportive husbands. I think that it is easier now to find supportive communities, but finding someone where that you are like, they're just supporting you day in and day out, seeing all the things, not just like the highlight reels on social. Because very similar to, or the opposite of you, I wasn't miserable at my job. I didn't think that there was another option outside of that, because going into working for Yahoo, like that was my dream.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, I want to graduate with a marketing degree and I want to work for a massive publisher. And I was leading these like amazing meetings with these like dream clients, right? And looking back at it, it was like nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got there and I'm like, this is my dream. Like
Right.
this is all that I'm doing. And so I think doing what we're doing now and just even being able to sit here with you recording in a studio in Arizona, coming from LA, I'm like, wow, imagine if I never left, right? Like when we think about like worst case scenarios and best case scenarios, like imagine if that was it for the rest of my life.
And that's how I felt. And I never discount his support, his salary. We sat down and crunched the numbers. Like I'm very privileged to be able to say that we would have been able to last on his salary for about a couple months. We had a house. If we had to sell it, we could. But it was like when we started to kind of unravel the layers of the onion, it was like, wow, it's actually going to take a lot for us to be in our worst case scenario. And again, I'm very lucky to say that. But my parents lived not too far from us. We could move in with them if we had to. Like there were just so many things that we could do before we were without shelter, without food. And so it was like, wait a minute. I'm just doing this every single day because I can, because it's easy, because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't I actually try something that I'd be a little bit more excited about? And I loved my job. I love teaching. I love kids. I'm still a teacher. But it's just
gonna say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when people ask what we do, we're in digital education. I mean, that's really what we do. So,
And you're really good at teaching. You break things down in a way that anybody could understand it. And, having Sebastian, he asks me things about work, and he'll be like, okay, like, yeah, I know you support women, but like, what do you actually do? And truly, he is the best like marketing tool that I have,
Yeah.
because if I can't explain it to him, which there have been numerous times when I'm talking to him that I genuinely like can't like find an easy way to
Yes.
say what I'm doing, and that's just like a red flag within itself,
Yeah.
you know? And so I like streamline everything through him now,
You
you
should
know? He's
though.
like my unpaid but also
Can I
very,
borrow
very
him?
expensive. Yeah. Like employee, right? I'm gonna actually do that. But it is a lot of work to, or it's harder than people think
Yeah.
to simplify what you want to do, what you want
Mhm.
people to know you for, and how to teach. So I definitely think the teaching background plays obviously a huge role into it. So you left your job, you started supporting other freelancers, entrepreneurs, all
Mhm.
the things, and realized that this worked, right?
Yeah.
Like I could do this. Why course creation? Like, why was that the go-to for you when it
Yeah.
came to teaching and like the ripple effect? You always talk about the ripple effect. Like,
Yeah.
why was it course creation?
It's crazy. I've never been asked that question in
Good.
so many like podcasts. I think it was just natural. It's like a default for me because courses are similar to curriculums, and I came from a world of curriculums. But also
Mm,
before that, as a personal trainer for 18 years, I wrote programming, right? Like all of the things that I went through, all the jobs that I've had, it was always about like the program, the schedule, the course, the curriculum. So I think it was just innate. But also in my business online, so I started in 2012 and I played with all these different iterations. The thing that I found to be the most successful, most fulfilling, my clients got the best results, we made the most money, like all of these markers of success was when I created a course.
mm,
So I did the ebooks and I did the paid this and the that and whatever. But when I created a course for people in health and fitness, I found that to be the most successful because it came for us with a community, with accountability, with support. There was teaching, there was coaching, two different things. People get those confused. But there was teaching, right? That's when you deliver information. So right now, I could teach something on this podcast. It doesn't mean that I don't care if the audience members don't understand it or take action on it. But your job as a teacher is to come and deliver the information. So when you speak on a stage, you're teaching a concept and you walk away. Coaching is when we're now back and forth. That's like the Zoom call where hot seat, raise your hand, let me work with you and make sure you understand. Let me answer your questions based on the things that you learned in the teaching. So we really break our courses down in the way that we teach it, that there's teaching, there's coaching, there's accountability, there's community, and there's continued education,
mm.
which I think is really important as well. So I just found it to be, it like made the most sense. And also from an impact and income standpoint, you can obviously impact more lives and make more income in less time. So if you have a room of one person or a room of 50 people, I mean, it's not rocket science.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to go back to teacher coaching, there's mentor. What's the
Mhm.
difference with that? Or how would you identify as that? Is that similar to coaching?
Yeah. The way that I see it, it's not right. I believe a mentor is someone that you just look up to for guidance and support. They might not even know you exist. You might not pay them.
Mm,
So I think we can have mentors. There's always mentors in our life. They could be your boss. They could be a friend, a family member. It could be someone on the internet. So for me, I had so many mentors that didn't know I existed, so many mentors that I never paid, that I was learning from their free content. I was downloading their free opt-ins. I was showing up on their webinars, and they were mentoring me whether they knew it or not. So I
yeah.
see a mentor as something like that. Coaching generally is a give and take relationship that you're both sort of signed on for.
Hmm.
Teaching, again, could be coming from a podcast, a YouTube, a book, right? When we read from a book, we're learning by a teacher, by a
Yeah.
shared experience. Yeah.
If someone has never purchased a course, so before I purchased a course, I had no idea what I was getting.
Yeah.
Like honestly, which is now looking back on it, I'm like, poor Jess, I put so much pressure on you that you didn't even know I put on you.
No
You know,
way.
like it was for me, I was like, I'm investing in this human, which
Right.
is like that's
No, you're
not, that
investing in
is,
yourself.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
investing in myself and my ideas and in my goals, but that's not how I looked at it. I'm like,
Sure.
this person is going to fix me. You know, that TikTok's like, you better fix my life, whatever. But it's like, it'll be like to the coffee or to whatever product you buy. But that is how I looked at it, being
Yep.
someone that's never purchased a course before. And so, if someone has never worked with a coach, they've never joined a course, like what are things that maybe they wouldn't know? Like tell me the logistics. Like what do they get? Like what is
Yeah.
the actual tangible things they get? What are the non-tangible things that they get?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, I never felt pressure from you because I've done so much work over the years internally. And I know that my clients' results are actually not my responsibility,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And that's a weird thing as a coach to be able to like be okay with that and find neutrality, right? Emotional intelligence and just like sort of being. My job is to do what I promised I'm going to do. So whether that's the deliverables, which are the tangible things you're talking about, and that's going to look different for every course, every coach, every program. Traditionally, it's 2023. What do we see? We usually see some aspect of teaching in a portal when we're talking about coaching, right? Or a course, I should say. We usually see some coaching that's going to have a live component, usually on Zoom. There's generally some communication if it's a Facebook group or Vox or something like that. There's usually somewhat of a curriculum that'll follow maybe PDFs. There'll be like different things that we want you to do along the way. I would say those are like the skeleton frameworks, but everyone's course or coaching program is completely different.
Yep.
The platforms they use are different. But the whole point of it is I'm going to get you from A to Z. And my job is only to teach you the things that you need to do and the like markers and the checkpoints along the way and the support that I've promised along the way to get you from A to Z, but you have to do the work. So I can handhold only so much. And with our courses and programs, we do things that a lot of courses don't do, where we actually take attendance on every single call. You don't know that. We're doing it on the back end with our support coaches. And the reason that we do that is not to give you a grade, but it's to make sure that if you miss 2 calls in a row, we reach out to you. And so it's partially to cover our own butts, right? To make sure that we are doing the things that we promised, but also to safeguard against things that we know are going to happen. We know life is going to get busy. We know that you're going to get overwhelmed. We know that it takes a lot of work. And so in order to help you, where it's not a matter of if you fall behind, it's literally when you fall behind, when you get overwhelmed. Like, we have different things in place to safeguard against that. So as a coach, as a course creator, my job is to make sure I'm fulfilling on those deliverables as promised.
Yeah.
But I can't build the business for you.
Why do you think that the boom of course creation in 2020 negatively affected so many businesses and so many coaches and so many great businesses and so many coaches throughout 2021, 2022? Like, what do you think was like one or two of like those main components?
So in the industry, we call 2020 a unicorn year. So myself included, any of my peers, my coaches, all my mentors, we had our biggest financial year yet.
Me too.
Like, everybody did.
Yeah.
If you were already in the industry.
Yeah.
What I think has happened since then, a couple different things. So number one, people, their expectations, even like yourself, you got into the coaching industry really in 2020.
2020.
Right. And so your first launch or 2 or 3 maybe felt easier than other launches, because at the time, everybody was online. No one had a choice. Everybody was pivoting. Everybody was looking for a course to take. Everybody was looking to monetize. And so a lot of people found a lot of ease in the coaching industry and in launching and in course creation. And so it gave us almost a false sense of reality. Like, how easy is it? How much success I'm going to have? And so we have seen so many of our clients since 2020 not struggle, but actually decrease their revenue, or it's gotten harder, or they've plateaued. And then a lot of people have fallen off because they've realized how hard it actually is. And so I'm not saying it was easy in 2020, but there was a moment in time where it was much easier.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in a very fortunate place of, preparation meets timing and opportunity. And we were already teaching people how to build businesses online. And I was known in, especially New York City, as the celebrity trainer who helped people build businesses online. So when the fitness industry closed, I mean, every trainer in New York was banging down on my door, like begging me to help them. So I didn't even have to launch. And I'm saying that humbly, but that's what happened. So it even gave me a false sense of like, this business thing, like this just popped. Like we were doing it for years, but then it popped. And so there was this false sense of reality, which then I believe has bled into marketing.
Yep.
I believe that flashy marketing has stuck around. And so there are a lot of people still saying it's very easy, or all you have to do is show up online. You can just make money from your couch. You can't just start an Instagram page and be an entrepreneur. Those are 2 very separate things. And so I think there's a false sense of the work that is required. And then the other part of it, there's a very low barrier to entry, right? You don't need much. There's no overhead when you start. You don't need a brick and mortar. You don't need to have a team. All these social media platforms are free. Email marketing is free. So there's no barrier to entry in the coaching industry. It's also an unregulated industry. And so everybody can be a coach. I don't think everybody should be, but everybody can be. And I do believe that there has been discomfort recently in the last year or 2 of people realizing that being a coach or having an Instagram is not the same thing as being an entrepreneur. It's not the same thing as being a business owner. And that's not to poo-poo anybody, but there are more and more people realizing like, oh, I don't want to do this at all. Oh, this is really hard. I don't want to be a business owner. I didn't think about all these other things. And so even with Empower, and it's changed a lot since you came through it, but we're not a coaching program. I'm not a coach. We're business owners, and we teach you how to build a business. And
Mm.
we really do believe that anybody can make money online. And I'm not interested in helping you make money. I'm interested in helping you build a machine that makes you money. So when life happens, you can step away and your business can still run. And, we experienced that in September, where I was unexpectedly taken out for 8 weeks, and the business continued, and it did its thing, and the team worked, and we were still making money and making an impact. And it was like, wow, we really did build this machine. And so when you come through Empower, yeah, there's really boring stuff in there. We do legal, we do financial. Like, you're setting up an LLC because we want you building a sustainable business, not
Yeah.
posting on Instagram.
Yeah. And I think that the combination of the coaches that maybe shouldn't have been coaches, that's like whatever, it plays definitely a part of it. But I also think from the consumer perspective, if you've never hired a coach, there is this expectation that you're going to do it for me.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? Like that this course is going to, there's going to be some you're just going to do it for me. And I've seen over and over again in so many different situations where you'll take courses over and over, but you're not actually doing the work. And so I just want to like really circle or highlight that this concept of like, you can hire the best coach, you can hire the best mentor, you can hire the best advisors, you can buy every course you can possibly exist, but it really does come back to you
Yeah.
and you putting in the work. You did talk about, you highlighted just showing up on social and the content when it comes to marketing. So I'd love to talk a little bit about organic marketing and yes, eventually selling that, like selling the courses and selling your products and your services, but like what does that look like when if someone doesn't know what organic marketing is? Like
Yeah.
let's start from scratch. What does that mean?
Yeah. So organic marketing is the idea that you're not putting money behind it, meaning you don't pay for ads. We last year started to play with ads for the first time, but we had built the company zero to multiple millions before we started to test ads. The reason being, I deeply believe that we should not be putting money behind something that you don't know is actually going to work. So it's similar when clients come to me and they're in ideation phase. They've never sold anything. They've never had a client, and they're spending $2,000 on a website build out. I'm like, you have no proof of concept, right? So why would you pour money into something that you don't know actually works? So no different than Kickstarter or Indiegogo. This is what the biggest companies in the world do. I mean, Apple literally does it with their iPhone. We're on version 14 or something.
Mhm.
They didn't wait to make version 1 until they had everything they would want for version 14. They put out version 1, they took our feedback, they made it better, right? And they iterate every time. So for me, I deeply believe like you should not be running ads to something that you have never sold, that doesn't already exist, that doesn't have clout, social proof, testimonials, results. So for us, we teach organic marketing, and you get to do that through so many platforms. All of these platforms are free. Yes, you can pay to be on them and to get your stuff pushed out, to boost a post, but you don't have to. So whether it's Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, I can keep going.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. You have the ability now to use that to build a community, to build an audience. Those are two different things,
Mhm.
right? So you can build a community, which is when your people connect to each other. You can build an audience, which is when your people connect to you. You can build know, like, and trust, credibility, authority, clout, all of these things, market research, testing things, and then you can sell things. And that selling of things is to offer a solution to a problem. And that's as simple as that. So you can use these platforms organically, and just by understanding how to use social media and understanding your ideal client and what their needs are, you can build your business that way.
I'm interested to know when you differentiate, like how do you differentiate the things that you teach online versus like what's in a course?
Yeah. So my personal belief is that I give it all away for free. I don't think information is proprietary. I think the way that we teach it is proprietary. My beliefs are proprietary. My own systems and frameworks that I've created, but everything is Googleable.
Mhm.
Everything is on the internet. There is nothing that I'm teaching that is the first time it's been taught. It's just not. So I do deeply believe that if we have a solution to a problem, it's our responsibility to share it with others. And so if I were not sharing it on social media because I wanted to hoard it and people had to pay me for it, then I would not be living in integrity of really wanting to make an impact. And listen, you can scroll through specifically my older Instagram account because I recently switched and started a brand new account. You could scroll through that page and you could absolutely build $1 million business off of the free content, but no one's going to.
Yeah.
They don't even do it when they're in a paid program because it's so hard.
Yeah.
So you can try to piecemeal it together, and we've all done it. We've taken so many free webinars and downloads that collect digital dust, and we try to duct tape it together, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I do believe that, it's my responsibility to give the content away. And I think there's a difference between, because people will argue with me, but it's like you can listen to your favorite music on Pandora or Spotify or YouTube or wherever, and it could be free, or you can pay $100 and go to a concert.
Life-changing.
It's not the same thing.
Life-changing. I cry every time I go to a concert. It's just like that's the best example.
Right.
And that's going to be a soundbite just within
Right.
itself, because it's so true. Like it is. And also there's so much more that goes into it psychologically when you are invested and you do put money. And we were talking about it at dinner yesterday. Like if I spend $1 on
Ugh.
something, I'm bought in.
I'm in.
I'm in. Like, and I do think that there is so much that goes into being coachable as well. Like when I invested to join Empower, like, one, that was my first biggest investment outside of like the last time I spent that much money was like on a bag. I never spent it on an idea, right? Like I tell Matt all the time, and he's like, "You do this all the time, like shopping, like my purse."
I could fall over.
But in my head, like my cost per wear is 0 at this point because I wear it every day. But it's just it's so funny. Like again, not coming from the coaching world to be like. It always went back to, and I say this even to my cousins, like they're gonna be like, "You paid who? How much? Like you paid this person this much?" And it wasn't. Again, as I went through it, I realized that it was less about you; it was more about me, and that shift allowed me to not miss a single call. Like
you never missed a call.
I never missed a call. Like. And we were busy, both like Matt and I were both building our businesses during 2020. I was homeschooling Seb at that time.
But disclaimer for anyone who is joining or thinking of joining a program, you can't just be an A+ student and expect A results in your business if you're a business builder, right? Or whatever it is. Like just being on all of the calls doesn't mean you're actually going to have results. You have to take action. And we have a lot of people that come through and they are like the A+ student, but they're not the A+ client. It's two different things.
Two different things.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you say that. And again, like, yes, like I joined, I was laughing last night. Like I would have my virtual hand raised before it was time to ask questions. I didn't know if I had a question, but I was going to figure it out because I invested in making this work. And you were talking about a timeline before. And actually when I had joined your course, I said, right before I joined your course, I said, I'm going to give my goal 3 months. If I can make money in 3 months, great. If not, I'll go back to corporate. And believe it or not, I actually had to remove that timeline for me to like really take it seriously, because I always felt like, oh, well, I have this like plan B.
Fallback.
Yeah, this fallback. And so I'm not like, my back isn't against the wall. Like it's like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so the second I removed that, I was like, F this, I'm going all in when it comes to this experience and this course and this investment. And so taking what you had taught me and then translating it into who I want to speak to and how am I getting my people from point A to point Z, it was just such a transformative experience. And going back to the organic marketing and what to teach and what not to teach, I have realized that why I agree with this idea of like teach it all is because I'm going to see that, which I did, and I'm going to think, wow, this is really, really good. She knows so much. If I can get this for free, I wonder what she can give me when I pay, right? Yeah. And yes, the knowledge, but again, the accountability, the community. Versus when there's so many smart, talented consultants and coaches and people that are experts, but they just don't share that stuff online, or they create like a crappy opt-in or lead magnet, and then I get it and I'm like, this is doing nothing. Yeah. But they just want you to join. And I'm sure like maybe their content is really good behind that paid wall, but I'll never know it because I'm not bought in on the free stuff that I'm getting.
Yeah.
You know,
I have a mentor who says the opposite, and it's okay. We're totally allowed to disagree. And his whole idea is like, remember when we used to go to the mall back in the day, and in the food court, they'd have like, come try our chicken on a plate with a stick, right? And like take the toothpick.
That's my favorite.
Try our chicken, right? Okay, cool. You try the chicken. The way that he sees it is, well, if they gave you a free plate, like a whole meal for free, and you ate it, and you said you liked it, and they invited you in to buy a plate, you'd say, no, thank you, I'm full. So like conceptually, I understand what he's saying. However, I look at it as I'm not giving you a full plate for you to eat and be full. I'm letting you taste everything, not just the chicken.
Yeah.
So like you can taste everything at the restaurant and then decide if you want to come in. But when you come in, the experience is completely different. Like you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's the coaching, it's the back and forth, it's the relationship. It's 3 years later, we're sitting on a couch having a conversation together, right?
Yeah.
Because of what happened inside of the program.
But you also talk about like continued education. Like I'm
Yes.
going to be hungry over and over again. Like I need to
Yeah,
eat every single day,
of
you know,
course.
like I'm counting down the seconds until I have to eat again, you know? It's like, but to that point, it was like, yes, I might be full at that time, but I might come back because I want more. And I probably will want more. And I will remember that it's really, really good. And I think when we talk about this transition of creating a service, a product, a course, you're selling it, and then you're creating organic content on marketing, like there has to be more. Like there's just like this growth. And so I look, what tell me the evolution of your business. Like I know we talked about how you started, but like Empower, what has changed in it? And like even from a marketing standpoint on the organic side, let's talk about that.
Oh gosh. So Empower started in 2017, sort of behind the scene. And it was me helping friends for free. And so one friend turned into 3 and then 7. And every Thursday we were sitting around my laptop in between clients at the gym that we worked at in New York. And I was helping them like build landing pages, this, that, and the other. And like I told you, the first gal that I put through a launch had an $80,000 launch. And I had this light bulb moment of like, I think I could charge for this. What it then turned into was a formal coaching program. And my gosh, what it's turned into now, I mean, 4.5, 5 years later, we have a team of coaches. So we have about 14 different coaches on staff, everything from niche experts, so an accountant, a lawyer, a mindset coach. You know, these are all parts of the program because this is stuff outside of my scope of practice. I can't teach that stuff, but it's really important that we do teach it. Empower really is a business in a box. Not sexy. That's not sexy at all. It's a lot of work, but it's a one-stop shop business in a box. So you're doing every single thing that you need to do in your business in the order that you need to do it in order to build something that will sustain. So a lot of times, especially online in the coaching industry, we build skyscrapers on quicksand. And then we have success, right? We put something out, clients say yes, people have been waiting for it, they're foaming at the mouth. All of a sudden we're making money, we're making impact, and then we're also at the bottom trying to like push sand underneath because everything is collapsing. So we are helping you make sure that we're like strong foundation and then we build up from there. But what has changed? Literally everything. I mean, the amount of calls that we do, from the support that you get to the staff that we have to now there's like a 150-page book that you get to follow along with the whole entire program. Literally every single piece of it has changed in the sense of marketing. That's also changed a lot too. So for the first year, about year and a half, I only helped fit pros. So we used to only help fitness professionals. And then we started dabbling with like accountants and lawyers and real estate agents. And now we've helped build in over 150, 160 niches, from like dog walkers and dog groomers to spiritual teachers. I mean, and everything in between.
Yeah.
The marketing has changed only slightly. It really has not changed that much. We have still been helping people do the exact same thing, which is take your lived experience and expertise and package it up into digital education, whether it's a course, coaching program, ebook, and then we help you bring it into life. We help you launch it while you're with us in the 12 weeks. You're launching it and onboarding your clients. We're still with you during the onboarding because we know, again, there will be issues. So we want to be there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see the evolution. You said that you were just originally helping fit pros. A lot of people would hear that and be like, well, and I felt this too, right? Like I'm only speaking to this one person. Um, how do you organically change or start speaking to more than just that one person? Like if I know that my product or service is for more people, but just for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I've only been speaking to these people. What if someone's listening to this and needs help to diversify who their audience is? Like, how do you do that organically?
So there's this concept of niching down, right? And so niche people think is way more complicated than it is. It's really just your industry. It's your market. It doesn't need to be that complicated. It's got 3 Ps. If you can solve a problem, whatever the problem is, if you have a personal story, transformation that you've been through or someone else has been through, and is it profitable? Those are really the 3 things that are going to determine like, what is your niche? What are your skill sets, right? Once you have that niche, people think I can't stray. And I do believe that we earn our right to go wide. So when you think of Starbucks, what do you think of?
Coffee.
Coffee, but did they sell other things?
Hmm.
Yeah, they sell cake pops and snacks, right? When you think of Nike, what do they sell?
Sneakers.
Sneakers, but they sell clothing and dog
Yeah.
accessories. And I could play this game for a really long time.
You're like, ooh, this is fun. What else?
Yeah. So they've earned their right to go wide.
Mm.
When you have a niche, that can be in your person and it can be in your product. So nothing changed with Empower. We just started to help more people, but the transformation is the niche for us. It's not so much the person or the industry. So when we made that pivot, that evolution, we literally just removed the word Fit Pro from our sign outside of our door. And it was just like, we help coaches and consultants build digital education programs. I mean, it was no different. We just stopped saying Fit Pro. And then slowly over time, I was sharing more stories of people like yourself, who's a branding expert, right? Someone else who's teaching something that's not in health and fitness. And so the more that I would share those stories and those case studies and testimonials, the more people would say, oh, wait, you can help me? I'm in real estate. Yeah, sure. Come on in. Yeah. And it took me a while too, because integrity is like runs thick through my blood. So I'm like, I can't promise that unless I know I can do it. So the first couple clients that I started helping that were outside of fitness, I was like, can I help them? I don't know. Is my framework going to work for them? And over the years, I've learned so much about all these other industries too. So now I know a lot about some weird industries because I'm actually auditing their curriculums before they go live. And so just by auditing people's curriculums hundreds and hundreds of times, now I know things about other industries where when we have someone come in who's in that industry, I'm like, oh, well, did you think about teaching this thing? Like, wow, how'd you know that? I'm like, just time, experience.
It's so interesting. And I love that you highlight that because a lot of people would just see that as like a missed opportunity and they'll be like, I can't evolve, I can't change, I can't add these things. And so being able to see you transform that and by just simply removing a word just goes back to how I'm always talking about the importance of messaging and like how it can evolve with you. So let's dive into someone wants to create a course.
Yeah.
Where do they begin?
Ooh.
Or what about this actually?
Yeah.
Sorry. What if someone how do you know if you would be good at creating a course?
You don't until you try. So yeah, there's clarity and contrast. Like we don't know that we don't like olives until we taste olives. Right? I mean, I like olives.
I love olives.
Mike hates them. So I always use this as an example, but there's clarity and contrast. So you get to try. You have to try before you learn. And don't just give it a one-shot try, right? Because you might not like it the first time, but give it a couple, the old college try, like give it a couple shots, tweak, iterate, change things, remove yourself. Learn. The more you can learn about yourself, the better off you're going to be in life. So it's all about personal awareness, right? And testing things and detaching. We're meaning-making machines. So people will try to create a course or they'll try and they'll put out an Instagram post and they won't get the result that they want. Expectations equal experience. Expectations equal experience. If you're expecting your one post to go viral or to make you money and it doesn't, then your experience will most likely be bad. This is bad. It's not for me. I'm not good at this. And then you snowball and you quit, right? Or you snowball and you decide to pivot. So knowing about yourself is really important because we're meaning-making machines. So when you try and your expectation is X and the result is Y, then you make it mean something about you. I'm not good enough. I got rejected. I'm not worthy. This, that, the other. People don't care about me. I don't have enough followers. Who was I to think that? She's prettier. He's this, he's that, right? So we go down this like rabbit hole. So it's really important to learn about yourself, to start practicing detachment. It's so hard. It is so hard. Like watching people go through launches, gosh, multiple times a year. We have hundreds of clients going through launches and, you know, they get on a sales call and someone says no and they spiral. And it's like, you're putting in the reps. Yeah. You're just putting in the reps. This is practice. You should be so grateful that you got on a call with someone, that someone was even interested. And it's a good thing that they said no. It's reps for you. This is how you build a muscle, right? So it's really important to work on the mindset piece of things, but the clarity will come with the contrast. So trying it is going to be the best way for you to really see and learn. And you get to try it for free. You don't have to sell something to test it out. You don't have to create a 17 module course with 150 page workbook and a team of 14. That's not what it needs to look like when you start. It's just having the conversation, starting to like work with people, beta testing, work with people for free, do some one-on-ones, get into conversations. And do you like coaching? Do you really like teaching? Or, and I'm not throwing shade, do you think you're supposed to because entrepreneurship is trending right now? Do you think you're supposed to because it looks easy? It's not easy. Yeah. It's not easy. I'm not your coach if you want easy.
No. There's a lot of people that I know that want to get out of entrepreneurship, but they just feel like they can't because they feel like it's just this shameful thing. And all of their friends are going to be like, well, it didn't work. You failed. Yep. Yeah. And I hate that for them because entrepreneurship isn't for everybody.
No.
And that's okay. That's okay. That actually makes it better for the people that want that it is for.
Yeah.
And before I go into the original question that I had asked you of like where do people begin, I think that a lot of the times we burn out too is because of the marketing that we do see, where it's like you can make $1 million in 1 month, and it makes me so mad because that was the expectations of what
Right.
I had. After my first couple launches of having really, really, really good launches, I'm like, oh, this is how every single launch is going to go.
Yeah.
And when I had a silent launch and when I started getting no's on calls, I mean, I was like gutted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I was like a
Right.
reflection of me, and I forgot how great I am at what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
what? And, you talk a lot about like feedback is neutral. I always say like failure is data. Like now it's taken me so long to really realize that of like, if it didn't work out, why don't you take a second, take a look at like what you did, what worked, what didn't work, what did you love, what didn't you love, and formulate a strategy
Right.
through that strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that right now, again, like for anybody who's listening that is telling people that they can make $1 million in a month, cut it out, because
Cut it
it's
out.
really like it's messing with a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. It
Like
really is.
it's insane to just see that, because again, people don't know how to handle it when they're not making $1 million in a month.
To your point, though, not everyone should be an entrepreneur. We also need people that are working the 9-to-5 jobs. And this is where knowing yourself is so important. 2014, I worked with a coach, and she presented me, this is before I jumped into entrepreneurship full time, right? Cute side hustle. She presented me with this visual, which I'm such a visual person. She said, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. You don't know when you're going to get the highs and the lows. You live for the drops. They're super fun. The lows are really low and they suck, and you don't know how long they're going to be there. There's no certainty whatsoever. Your 9-to-5 job for me at the time was teaching. That's like a merry-go-round. It's the same thing over and over, year after year. It's the holiday fair, it's the book fair, it's the assembly, it's field day. And there's beauty in that too, right? It's certainty. It's knowing exactly what's coming next. And so knowing yourself is important because you get to discern, where do you fall?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was going to Tony Robbins events, and he teaches I think it's 6 different like life values, and there's certainty and uncertainty and growth and contribution. And I don't remember the rest. You can Google them.
Yeah.
But I started to learn, wow, my core need is uncertainty. The sheer certainty that teaching offered was the thing that was driving me nuts. Like I felt like I was suffocating because it was the same thing every year. And it was great. I had weekends off and summers off, and I'm not complaining. But for me, it was the thing that I felt like I couldn't breathe because it was the same thing over and over. The monotony killed me. And so when I realized that I valued uncertainty, and I would rather not know the next chunk of money coming in than have a steady paycheck, that was so liberating. It was so freeing. And so when you're listening to this right now, it's okay if your core need, if your driver is certainty, entrepreneurship probably isn't for you. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's clarity in that. So go move forward with that. And maybe you find a little bit of uncertainty in your personal life or in your hobbies. But if you want the steady paycheck and you want to have a boss, not having a boss sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody thinks it's the best thing. There are so many days where I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing today?
Someone please tell me what to do
Someone tell me
today.
what to do.
Yeah.
Lauren, help me.
Literally.
Lauren's our COO.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lauren. But I'm like, Lauren, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, what's my homework this week? She's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're my boss. You own the company.
You tell me. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but like, what am I supposed to do today?
Yeah.
Where do I have to be today? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally okay.
If someone is starting from scratch, doesn't know where to begin, interested in creating a course, where should they begin? Like, what is the first step?
I really do think that the first step is some of your own like personal stuff. So it's just, what have you been through? You know, I don't think we should build businesses on passion. I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of coaches that say like, build your business on passion. And I think that's a load of poop. Passion, the definition of passion in the dictionary is literally uncontrollable emotion. Why would you want to build a business on uncontrollable emotion? It sounds like a terrible idea. So 1 month I want to learn how to skateboard. The next month I'm interested in learning how to play guitar, right? If I'm constantly building things off of what I'm interested in that very moment, that is not a sustainable business model. So knowing your purpose is much more important than your passions. We're multi-passionate. That's just what we are. So build your business on passion. So on purpose. So what is your purpose? What's your story? What have you been through? What's your why? Once you know that, it's kind of like a target on a dartboard. So we know where we're going. We have something that we can focus on. Unpack your skill set. What's your lived experience? Like, you can do an exercise like your personal timeline of your life. Draw a line horizontally across the paper. Underneath the line, from as far back as you remember, whether it's an age or a year, I want you to write all of the perceived negative things that have happened in your life. So, what you perceived as bad or negative things. Take time to do this. It's very uncomfortable. Above the line, you're going to write down all of the perceived great, good, happy things that have happened in your life. And then what I want you to do is look at all the stuff above the line, see if there's a theme. Is there an aspect there? So for me, all of my really good, positive things have been accolades and awards and significance, which is a thread throughout my life. When you look underneath, is there a theme there, right? Is there something of like, for me, it's a sense of worthiness or lack thereof. So not feeling valued, not feeling enough, not feeling worthy. When you know yourself, it's like a superpower. So from there, that knowing, you can start to plug into, wow, all these experiences, this resilience that I have a lot of skills in this area. You can also talk to people in your life, friends and family. What do you know me for? What am I good at? What do you think of when you think of me? What did you go to school for? What is your 9-to-5 job? Collect that data and you can start to discern like, okay, cool. I could actually teach all these different things. We have people that come through our programs who are accountants by day, but then they also are like the person that everybody in the neighborhood calls to do their kids' goodie bags at their birthday parties. And they love it. And it's like, well, you can help people build goodie bags or knit or whatever. So collect that data for yourself. Once you know that, then we can dive into, okay, what's your niche? Who's your ideal client? Those are foundations. From there, after we know niche and ideal client, we step into content. So now what are our main content pillars? What's our brand? What's our essence, right? What are we always going to be talking about and teaching? And then we can keep going. So it's really starting very macro to come down micro.
When it comes to the content, I think a lot of people get really frustrated with Instagram, frustrated with the platforms, frustrated with the algorithms. I like how you teach it. You teach it in a very, it's just an easy way to implement. I am a brand strategist.
A very good one.
Thank you. Which is funny. Also, disclaimer, I had joined Empower because I wanted to build a confidence course.
Yes,
and
Empowered Confidence. You sent me the journal.
Yeah, and you're like, no. Literally, you're like, no one's buying this shit. I was like, okay.
People don't buy confidence. It's a byproduct of something else.
Yeah. And it was really cool to see the transition of and that didn't change. I still teach people how to be confident.
Of course.
I still empower them. I support them with their mindset and I really advocate for their stories. And that transformed into, well, story is really important to me. Who you are is really important to me. How you show up is really important to me. And I'm really good at that.
Yep.
How do I package that up? And that's how, our first brand business accelerator, or even just not even that, the pillars of empowered confidence came to life, where it's the branding, the marketing, the messaging, the storytelling. So it was really cool to see that transition. But okay, back to content. I'm a brand strategist and I want people to know me for the go-to brand strategist.
Yeah.
I'm creating my pillars.
Yep.
What should that encompass?
Yeah. So the idea that we teach for pillars is that all of your content, whether it's email marketing, any social media platform, if you're speaking on a podcast, you're going on a stage, there are going to be sort of key topics that you always talk about. We love to start with 5. Not to say that you have to post 5 days a week. That would be great. But it's really 5 because 2 of them I've already created for you. So the first pillar is going to be your personal story, especially when you're a service provider, you're a coach, you're in that type of industry. People buy from people. Mm-hmm. There are a million business coaches. So why would someone buy from me? It could be the way, is literally as crazy as it sounds. It could be the way that I dress. It could be my dog. It could be that Mike and I lived in an RV for 14 months. I'm from New York City. All these, I went to URI. All these things that are making me human are what we connect to each other. You and I literally have mutual friends from before we even knew each other because we're from kind of around the same area, the Northeast. We've got that edge, right? That could be why you chose me, subconsciously even. So people buy from people. So your first pillar is always going to be your personal story. That doesn't mean you have to air all of your skeletons in your closet. You don't have to rip the Band-Aid off and be super vulnerable. And if you're a parent, you do not have to be sharing your children online. But you do need to bring some personality, some life into your content, as well as your why, your mission, your vision, your purpose, your values. So that's all your personal story, your own experience, transformation, what makes you you. The second pillar that I'm going to give you is going to be I call it offer. So your offer could be anything that you're actually selling. It could be something that you're doing for free. I've got a free webinar. I'm doing a pop-up. Join this email list. Or, yo, I was just on Marina's podcast. You should listen to it, right? So an offer is just you telling your audience about the stuff that's going on in your business. So that's 2 of the 5. The other 3 are, can you find 3 really big problems or challenges that your ideal client has that they're always looking for the answer for? And then can you teach something within those? So let me give you an example. In our business, pretty much everybody's question, if it starts here at the bottom and we were to bring it all the way up to the top of the umbrella, it's basically, how do I grow my followers and how do I make more money? That's like always the question. When they ask me about content, when they ask about pillars, it's like, what's the why? Why are they asking it, right? The quality of your question determines the quality of your life. So if I can really sift down into like, why are you asking me? You're asking me because you want to grow your following and you want to grow your money. Great. So my pillars are always going to go back to you growing your following or growing your money. And the way that we do that is like, what are the key things that I'm always going to talk about? So for me, obviously business strategy is going to be a pillar. Social media is going to be a pillar. And then entrepreneurship or leadership, because we have a team and we teach a lot of high-level clients as well, is going to be a pillar. For a health and fitness professional, movement is a pillar. Like it just is. I'm telling you right now, movement's a pillar. Take it. I just gave it to you. Food, nutrition is a pillar. You might not be a nutritionist giving out meal plans because you're not legally allowed to, but talking about food and macros and why you hate keto and why you love paleo and this new product that you love and how to measure food on your palm and all of these things, like that's part of what you're always going to be talking about. Mindset is probably a pillar for all of us, right? So the key things that you're always going to talk about in your business, it doesn't mean you can't talk about other things. It just creates parameters. Structure creates freedom. You know that with Sebi. It's summertime. He doesn't have camp. He doesn't have a schedule. He's like bonkers. It's so hard, right? We love structure. Humans love routines. Structure creates freedom. So the structure of kind of having 5, 6, 7 key pillars creates the freedom for you to be creative. So have you ever struggled with like, I don't know what to post today?
Literally.
All the time.
Yeah.
But if you had like pillars up on your wall, you had them written somewhere, you had folders in your notes of your phone, it's very easy to go, okay, if the problem is this, they need to XYZ, lose weight, they want to make more money, they don't know their brand. Okay, well, what can I teach within that pillar? And there's so many exercises we can teach on this podcast where you can sort of web out. So if you remember elementary school, like you write the main theme in the middle and you shoot off little spider webs and you write all these ideas around and you can play those games with yourself to come up with content. But it's sort of the meat and potatoes of your content. Doesn't mean you can't talk about other things.
Yep.
And where we believe it should live is your main content. So if you're thinking about Instagram, your hard feed, your posts, your carousels, your reels, that's going to be like your juicy 5. Your highlight covers could be cousins of those juicy 5. So your highlight covers are other things that are really important when someone lands on your page and they stalk you. Yeah, that should be client testimonials. That should be behind the scenes. It should be a start here, learn about me, right? And then your stories that expire in 24 hours, that's like the fun, the personality, the playful. Show me what you're doing in your life. Show me your outfit. Show me your dog, because that's where I'm going to really connect with you. And that doesn't have to be the boring how-to information all the time, because if we just wanted how-to, we'd use an encyclopedia.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I sell more through my stories than I do my hard feeds through my email marketing. It's actually insane. Like our downloads for this podcast, I would say almost all of them come as a reminder from the stories. Like my stories are really where I've built so many relationships. And the only way I'm able to do that is 1, by showing up, and 2, by like allowing people into my day, allowing people to see what I'm doing and really get to know who I am. And, you know, I used to have my
I was
coffee.
going to say that. I was going to say coffee.
Yeah, and then pour my espresso, you do the handstands, right?
Yes.
Like, and during the RV life, like you were going on walks and talking on walks. And I know you still do that, but it's like, I know that for you.
Yep.
And, you know, coming from the branding side, like I associate you with that.
Were you around for the banana phone?
No.
Oh man, when we lived in New York, I used to do this thing every day, like 7 days a week for probably 4 years, where I'd walk to the subway because I was still training clients in person. And I'd be walking to the subway and I would talk to my camera, because Instagram stories is the best place. It's just it's the most fun. And I'd be talking to my camera, giving value, telling a story. And then I would interrupt myself and it'd be like, bring, bring. And I'd grab my banana.
Stop.
I was like, excuse me, sorry guys. And I'm like talking to my camera, like the universe is calling. And I would say like some motivational thing from the universe, but I bring it up because people used to like mail me banana stuff. Like literally it got to the point where like people would like tag me. They'd be in a store and see a banana and they would tag me and they're like, Jess, the universe is calling.
So
Or like I got
funny.
magnets in the mail, stuffed animals. People would find me and buy me banana things. But it's like, that's branding though.
Yeah, branding, and people are associated. I mean, to the point where like people were buying the coffee and the espresso, and I had to stop because I was getting heart palpitations from all of the caffeine that I was having. If you know me, you know I don't need any more caffeine. But it was crazy to see how much it's associating, or people are associating with you, and they want to have some connection with you outside of just like social. And I know you talk about the feed, and I also want to give a disclaimer. Like, I actually think we give that feed too much power.
Yeah.
To the
Oh
point
my
where
gosh.
like when we're so stuck on the pillars, when we're so stuck on making it like the perfect thing, we don't end up showing up, and it's like, wait, okay, sorry, like forget that strategy and just post because that's a strategy within itself. You know, just like post, like stop overthinking it, because I keep saying this whole thing of like best known beats best. Like if people know who you are, they're sold on who you are. They're bought in on who you are. Outside of that, like you're kind of screwed if you don't show up.
Yeah, you're winking in the dark.
Right. Oh, I love that.
But also like C content will create A content. And like C students graduate college. Like it's okay if your content is not great. It's just putting it out and getting the reps in. And there's an argument over like quality over quantity or quantity over quality, but quantity creates quality. And to your point, it's like, if no one can see it, who cares? If you're sitting in analysis paralysis to make it be perfect or to make sure you're like within your content pillars, that's not what the point of them is. The point of them is to help you and empower you so that you do know what to post. But the thing that I love about stories too, you were just talking about your coffee, and people sort of expect it. Stories and now YouTube shorts and TikTok, they're little mini reality shows. And we're the director. We get to be the actor, the actress, the director, the producer. And so you get to create this feeling of a reality TV show where I think it's important every single day you let your audience know it's a new episode. So I'm pouring my coffee, it's a new episode. I'm doing my handstand, it's a new episode. Banana phone, new episode. And so subconsciously I'm saying, this is a new episode, stick around today. I take them through something, and then at the end of the day, we shut it down, come back tomorrow for another one, right? And so you're literally creating this experience. I mean, when did that start? 20 years ago or something? We became obsessed with reality TV. We love living vicariously through people. And I agree with you. Our sales, gosh, almost all of them ever have come from Instagram stories.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best. But the thing with the feed too, to be mindful, and this is why this year we're all in on YouTube. Come check us out. I'm loving it. YouTube is a search engine first, like Google. So you go and you say, how do I change a tire? How do I bake a cake? How do I, dye my hair? You're looking for something. When you go to Instagram, that's not how it works. It's a social app first. So that content that you spend hours pouring your heart into, it essentially disappears. I know it's always there, but no one's ever just going to randomly find it, because once it's done, it gets pushed down and it's just gone. It's just gone. So so we're going on YouTube this year.
Yeah, we're on YouTube too. And
I love
when I
it.
say it's a very soft strategy, there's really no strategy behind it, but I'm having fun. It's like it's something different. Let's dive into rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Because I could do this forever. What has been the hardest thing you've experienced, and how has that changed you as a person?
Inside a business or in general?
In general.
Ooh, gosh. Ugh. Lots of health stuff. So I had an eating disorder for 11 years. That was hard. 2 ankle surgeries that took me off competing. When I was competing, that was hard. And we recently, trigger warning, went through an ectopic, and I lost my fallopian tube, and that of course was really hard. So I think that stuff has sort of taken me out, because I have been so focused on like awards, accolades, and significance. So then to be like physically taken out, it's, it shakes you to your core.
How has that changed the way you show up for your business, or how
It's
you
changed
operate?
Everything. Because I went from winning to worthy. I went from like, I will win at all costs, any cost, burnout, breast cancer scare. It's always physical for me and that's a good marker that I know that I'm not on the best path. But I went from this, like, I will do anything to win, to, oh, actually I'm worthy regardless. Yeah.
I love that. What has been something or things that you have tolerated from people in the past that you no longer tolerate?
I've gotten much better with boundaries and communication. I think a lot of us are people pleasers innately. So just doing things because I feel that they're right, or I want to, and I tend to zig when others zag. I've always done that. So, I don't really tolerate the messages. I'm really lucky. I don't get like nasty messages, but I just don't tolerate other people's opinion.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's really good. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing in your business right now, and how are you tackling it?
Ooh, I'm so grateful to say that we don't really have any big challenges. Um, yeah, we don't. We're not in a season of challenges. There's always challenges, but we're not in a season of challenges. We just came off of one though, and that was we have a great team. We have an executive leadership team, so a C-suite, and we've really locked in our organizational chart. And through one of our last launches, um, challenges are showing you blind spots. They're flashlights that hold up. They show you what you don't see. And so with something that we experienced, a flashlight was lit, and we were like, "Whoa! Oh my gosh, we have two people sitting in one seat." So in an organizational chart, you can't have two people sitting in one seat. You can have one person sitting in multiple seats, but if you and I sat on the same seat this whole podcast, your butt would be numb, right? Like it'd be really uncomfortable. So we accidentally were doing that and we didn't know. And so there was a lot of stepping on each other's toes, and no one knew who was supposed to rise to the occasion when something happened. And so something did happen, and we saw this happen, and it was like the most beautiful experience. And so we just did a full reorg, and we've been a team together for many years, and we just did a full reorg, and it's been incredible.
We were talking about your team last night, and finding people that are so bought in on your mission is really hard, and it's like crucial to the success of your business.
Yeah.
And I talk about personal branding obviously all the time, and it's like it's very important that you have the personal brand and that people know who you are, but it's also even more important that your business has a life outside of
Yes.
just you, and that can't happen unless you have a team.
Yeah.
What's going on right now with you? What are you excited about? Anything launching? How can people
Yeah.
work with you?
Oh man, I'm excited about so many things. We've been moving for 3 years. So we did our V Life for 14 months full time, and then we moved across the country, and then did Snowbird Life for a year. So I'm really excited to just be here. We're not going to move this year, and I'm loving that. In the business, I'm so excited. Our YouTube and our podcast are like the two things we're really focused on this year, and I love both. So Digital Business Evolution, come on over. Tons of free content. What we're doing now when this airs, so twice a year we host a huge, incredible virtual event called Digital Business Evolution Live. It's totally free. It's a 3-part series, but really it's 12 days of just content and lives and free coaching, and just it's incredible. So if you've ever wanted to dabble in the digital education space, if you've been thinking about it, or if you already have a business, it is so powerful to come and join us. I would love to invite everybody to come. It's no strings attached, and it's just a super fun event that we do.
Amazing. I love that. And we will link it in the show notes so everybody can go sign up. So we do this thing at the end where the podcast is called She Did It Anyway. And it really is all about doing it anyway, despite the setbacks and the fears and the boundaries that you break and the lessons along the way, and being scared shitless. That's the whole idea. You just do it anyway so you can keep going. And so we like to end the episodes with a fill in the blank. So you'll say through fill in the blank, I did it anyway.
Oh man, through the opinions of others, through the expectations of my parents, whom I love and adore. They obviously now are like, "Yay, you did the right thing." But yeah, through just, man, I got some mean girls when I quit teaching. My principal, love him to death, but he said, "Kids, stop trying to change the world. It's never going to happen." And it was just like, ooh. So yeah, through the discomfort, I did it anyway.
I love that. I am so grateful for you always. And I wrote it in your card, but I'll say it to you in person. It's really hard to find someone that supports you and roots you on, especially in this space that you're not paying. And I appreciate that we have gone from you being my mentor, you being my coach, to you being my friend. So I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this whole entire episode. And I would love, love, love for you to share your feedback, tag me, tag Jess. Let us know any like nuggets, beliefs that you're able to borrow. And I can't wait to talk to you. Okay, bye.
And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.